AI, and more AI was pretty much the theme of Microsoft's Build annual developer conference. Mark New has more on how Microsoft is planning to harness the powerful technology both quickly and safely.
At Microsoft's annual Build Developer Conference, CEO Satya Nadella referenced a quote from the late Steve Jobs that computers were the equivalent of a bicycle for our minds.
Last November, we got an upgrade, right? We went from the bicycle to the steam engine with the launch of ChatGPT. It was like the mosaic moment for this generation of the AI platform.
Microsoft's early investment and partnership with the creator of ChatGPT, OpenAI, has given them a jump in the AI race. Microsoft unveiled a new AI co-pilot for the Windows operating system. Users can chat with the assistant, which can make recommendations and navigate through documents and apps instantly. OpenAI co-founder Greg Brockman appeared at Build, explaining how early versions of their tech that were made to follow instructions naturally called out to chat.
It had really generalized this idea of, well, if you really want me to follow instructions and you give me a new instruction, maybe you really want me to have a conversation. And so for me, that was the moment that it kind of clicked that, okay, we have this infrastructure that's already in place with earlier model and this new model, even just using this sort of technology that wasn't meant for chat, it wants to chat.
Another theme at the event is AI safety. Nearly all the major tech companies, including Microsoft, have dedicated pages like this one, Responsible AI. But Nadella says the real challenge is to make sure these safeguards aren't outside the engineering process, but rather built in to the everyday tool chain. Those tools are also finding their way into the next generation of AI experts. Microsoft's Imagine Cup is a worldwide competition for university tech students to win $100,000 and mentoring from Nadella himself. This year's 3 finalists are all using AI, including Upnia, which has developed a mobile app to help students and doctors better diagnose and treat tuberculosis.
We have an accuracy of over 95%, which can be further drilled down to, the error could be drilled down to just 1% or 0.5%. Similarly, everywhere else in the world with AI, we are able to actually just cut down on the human error. AI is not going to replace, but is going to definitely assist the healthcare providers, because currently, like I think with the pandemic, we saw how the healthcare sector had a breakdown all over the world.
They are really going all in on AI. They are really seeing the benefits and seeing how it can help them achieve what they want to achieve and also have an impact in their communities.
And winning this year's Imagine Cup crown was Tawi, a team from Kenya that uses AI to help kids with auditory processing disorders to overcome communication barriers. Mark New, CGTN, San Francisco.
For more about Microsoft's latest platform changes and AI, Dan Ives joins us back, Managing Director of Equity Research, Wedbush Securities. Good to see you again, Dan. And look, give us the AI 101. Why is AI so powerful? And the reason I ask is when we look back at the internet when it started, or cell phones, or the iPhones, or laptops, we didn't realize how powerful it was until many, many years later. Where are we here with AI?
I mean, look, to put it in perspective, it's 40 to 50 times more powerful than what we see today. And when you look at some of these functional areas like advertising, healthcare, look at enterprises in terms of, how companies are using it on the cloud, it's revolutionary. I mean, look, I believe in my 22 years covering tech, it's probably one of the most transformational themes I've ever seen.
Microsoft obviously going all in with ChatGPT and the highlights from their conference. Other companies, Google, who some say, well, they were behind, but now they're catching up. But if AI is as great as it is, isn't it natural that basically any company that wants to be relevant is going to have to not only invest in AI, but really commit fully to AI?
Oh, yeah, look, this is just the start. I mean, I think there's a Game of Thrones that's going on. We're talking about what's an $800 billion market opportunity over the next decade. And companies are going to have to invest in AI. I mean, even in this macro where you're seeing cost cutting, a lot of tech, I mean, they're spending like mad when it comes to AI developers, engineers, because it's the Wild Wild West. And that's why you're seeing the real monetization go after this. And I think this is really a wake-up call for a lot of companies that maybe at first, we're not ones that bought into the theme.
Give me a real world application, and I'll start with this. Let's say you want to call your airline and change your plane ticket from the morning flight to the evening flight. Right now, you have to be on hold for a couple hours and somehow get through to a human being. Could this AI technology ultimately, I don't want to use the word replace humans, but serve as a way for us to get tasks completed that are basically more complex, and the AI could basically change your flights, it could answer questions about the flights, it could maybe even check you in to the aircraft as well, and that would help airlines, I guess, in essence, be more efficient, right?
Well, I think that's a great example of where AI could help. But I'll just give you a real one. From one, I talked to an advertising executive today that basically told me that AI enables them to basically get advertisements from TV over the last 50 years in about 5 minutes for something that could have taken them about 3 months for an advertising campaign that they're going to do. That sort of hits home. I mean, I think that's really what it's able to do. It's able to do things that would have taken months, really in a matter of minutes. And I think that's the game changer here, even though, of course, there's guardrails that need to be put in.
Right. Let's talk about the guardrails, because if it's so great, Microsoft is embracing it, all these big companies are embracing it, yet you have a fairly large contingent of wealthy influencers who are telling, different governments that they need to be more and more careful. For example, Elon Musk, right, just to name a few. But the issue is, what are we so worried about? What are these negative effects that everyone's scaring us into being concerned with?
Yeah, look, I think right now there's so many unknowns in terms of the technology. So in terms of government, guardrails, what they can do, I think everyone's just trying to learn about it. But look, I think that some example could be like data privacy, accessing information. I think there's other ways from a government perspective. Could AI, could it access things from a security perspective, like the grid or issues like that? I think that's why there's unintended consequences here, no doubt. And that's why it's important, as this all gets rolled out, it gets rolled out safely and proper to make sure that the guardrails are right. Because I think what Musk is talking about is dead on in terms of, there's a lot of unknowns here and a lot of regulatory, I'll say goalposts that need to be put in.
One of the things I was thinking about is, let's just say we were applying for a job to work for you as the managing director. So I'm a junior analyst. And I go to ChatGPT and I fill out the questions you're asking me. Write me a simple report on Microsoft's expected analysis or forecast for 2024. And I go into the system and it prints it out. How are you going to know that I didn't do all the work and I used a computer to help me build this when you're looking and reviewing the resume?
Yeah, I mean, look, to that point, there's definitely going to be screening software that's going to come through trying to identify some of that. But that's why right now, I mean, it's, as a 15-year-old, if you're writing a history paper, ChatGPT is basically, feels like you just won the lotto, right? But there's clearly going to be another side of that in terms of educational screening software. And, I think even in terms of interviews and things like that, you really might have to do writing samples, in person rather than ones online, just given what we see with ChatGPT.
I will take real world Dan Ives any day over ChatGPT. Appreciate you on this topic. Thank you.
Thanks. Good to see you.